Welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. Whether you are planning just a couple of hours or a full weekend of fishing, this is your one-stop place for all the information you need to plan your trip. It's all right here, from weather forecasts and reservoir levels to the latest stocking reports and expert advice. And now, the host of Idaho Fishing Report, Jeff Cullers.
Well, hello, anglers. Indeed, I am Jeff Cullers, and welcome back to the Idaho Fishing Report. All right, we were off last week. It's been a rough year. We had some equipment failure, and by equipment failure, my laptop fell and busted while I was on the road. So we were shut down for the week, but brand new laptop in hand, and we are ready to roll with the Idaho Fishing Report for this week of May the 12th. 2023. Have a great report for you. Lots of fishing tournament information, lots of stocking, great weather to report. So sit back and relax. This is the Idaho Fishing Report. All right, just want to remind you that the Idaho Fishing Report weather forecast is being brought to you by the Idaho Horsemen, Idaho's only indoor professional football team. Check out their schedule at gohorsemen.com. Posse up. All right, and speaking of those horsemen, they are in action this weekend at the Ford Idaho Center out in Nampa this Saturday night, 7 p.m. You can find tickets at gohorsemen.com, or you can watch it on the live stream at goodboystudios.com, goodboistudios.com. All right, let's get into that weather. Enough with the advertisements here. It's going to be a gorgeous Friday in most areas. We'll start over in the Magic Valley, sunset there around 8:49 p.m. We'll see highs in the mid-70s all weekend, a 1% chance of rain on Friday. We do see that get up into 14% on Saturday with 18-mile-an-hour winds. 24% chance of rain on Sunday with 20-mile-an-hour winds. So Friday looks to be your best bet. Monday through the rest of the week, highs in the low to mid 80s. The chance of rain really goes down. Still a 24% chance of rain on Monday. Winds are still going to be around 11 to 13 miles an hour there. All right, over near Mountain Home in Bruno, sunset there, 8:56 p.m. Friday, we're going to see highs in the upper 70s. 2% chance of rain, only an 8-mile-an-hour wind. And we are going to see that increase over the weekend through Monday. Mostly sunny, but a 13% chance of rain on Saturday, and scattered thunderstorms and wind on Sunday. 36% chance of rain, 22-mile-an-hour winds. The rest of the week looks pretty good after that. Single-digit chance of rain, highs in the mid to upper 80s, and going to see low 90s on Thursday. Sunny. All right, over in the Boise area, sunset around 8:59 p.m. Highs in the upper 70s, lower 80s all weekend. Again, same song, same verse. 2% chance of rain on Friday with 11-mile-an-hour winds. The winds here aren't as bad. Mostly sunny on Saturday, but 16% chance of rain, 24% chance of rain on Sunday. And then Monday, 15% chance of rain. Get into single digits the rest of the week. Highs in the upper 80s, lower 90s here as well, too. All right, let's head up the Double Nickel to Cascade. Sunset there at 9:01 p.m. Highs in the upper 60s all weekend long. Good. Saturday and Friday look really good. Only 6 and 3% chance of rain. A 16% chance of rain on Sunday. 24% chance of rain on Monday. So the first of the week looks kind of wet, but it gets better after that. Winds are pretty calm. 11-mile-an-hour winds on Saturday. And unusual for Cascade. We don't see it very windy up there very much. All right, over in the Snake River area, sunset there, 9:06 p.m. Mountain Time. High on Friday in the lower 80s. Kind of for the whole weekend, it's going to be the same way. Sunny. 12% chance of rain on Sunday, not much there. Monday and Tuesday seem to be your best bet for rain. Highs still in the lower to mid 80s, upper 80s. Wednesday and Thursday, but not much chance of rain. And that is your weather for Southern Idaho. All right, it is time once again for the owner and creator of Tightlines 208, Jordan Rodriguez, to come on and give us his hot tip of the week. Jordan, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing fantastic. Finally back home for a few days, and it's good to be back home in Boise for a while.
Yes, sir. We got some nice weather for you, so that's a plus.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. All right, my friend. Well, what is that Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week?
All right. Well, give me a second here. I got to pull out my soapbox.
Okay.
No, I think one of the big things here is education. And so I just like to throw this out there in my articles and my classes, and we'll do it here on the show, especially this time of year. So we're getting into real time spring now.
Yep.
We got some nice warm weather, air temps are up, water temperatures are rising. And this is the time of year. And in fact, Fish and Game just put out a pretty interesting article about it. This is the time of year when the biggest bass of the season are often caught. They're moving into shallower water. They're accessible to bank anglers as well as boat anglers. So it's just a time when we see a lot of big bass being caught. I've been out bass fishing, my last 3-4 trips have all been bass focused, and I've been catching some really nice ones, 18, 19-inch fish. 3 and 4 pounders that are just old, healthy, thick, heavy fish.
Yep.
And I just like to give people a little bit of education. So say you catch that 19-incher, it's like a 4-pound bass in Idaho. That fish is probably anywhere from 12 to 18 years old. So it's a resource that we have, and it's not a resource that we have a ton of. So I just like to put that out there and encourage people to practice catch and release on those big fish. They're super big, they're super old, they're probably not going to be great eating anyhow. This is the time of year when they're spawning, so they're kind of doing their thing and getting ready to create future generations of fish. We don't have any bass stocking programs here in Idaho. It's all natural reproduction. So there's just a lot of good reasons to let those fish go, let them go, let them grow, and keep those great resources that we have here in the fisheries. It's just not, in my opinion, worth, a meal or two to take out an animal that's been around for, pushing 20 years.
For sure. And, one of the things we don't do on the show is we don't do a whole lot of, catch and release or harvesting. We don't get into that a lot. We let anglers make that own decision. But I think you brought up two good things. One, the age of the bass, right? And those are bass that we want to stick around. We want to continue to see them spawning. And it is spawn season, too. This is another reason right now to let some of those bass get back and go back and harvest some, a little bit later on. And because there isn't a restocking program like there is for the trout, it doesn't really matter. You can keep as much as you want because we'll make more, as Fish and Game will say. But it's, I think it really is. It's a good point. And some people will want to keep those big ones, and it's something you and I talked about a few episodes ago because they want that mount, right? They're like, oh man, I caught this monster fish. That you had a really good point on picture mounts, right?
Yeah, my personal best largemouth bass was a 2-foot long fish, 7.5 pound, just an absolute stunning fish for here in Idaho. And I did have a trophy made, but I chose to have a replica mount made, which means the fish was released and the taxidermist created a replica based on the pictures and the measurements. And I'm super happy with it, and I think, does my skin mounted trout next to it look a little more like the actual fish itself? I would say yes. But just when I look at the bass mount, remembering back on that experience and thinking that, I released that fish to live another day, to possibly grow to, 8 pounds or more, to continue creating future generations of fish. That meant a lot more to me than the nominal difference between what does a replica mount look like versus what does a skin mount look like. So, there's options for all of it. We all have really high quality cameras in our pockets these days with the phones. Again, I don't like to just harp on people and say what you have to do or not do. But I do find, in my bass class, for example, when I talk about these things, or in my, stop fishing, start catching class, when I talk about the age of these bass, people are blown away by that. They just don't have any idea that it takes that long to grow a fish. And I think
Right.
just having that information in your brain uh, puts kind of a different line of thinking in it. If the fish is 3 or 4 years old and, there's 5 pound bass all over the place, it's not as scarce of a resource, and then the catch and release maybe wouldn't be as big of a deal. But given that we're in a cold weather climate
Yep.
with a short growing season, and we just don't grow bass that size very quickly or very often, I think it's just important to know that and to have that knowledge with you so that you can make, whatever you think the best decision is when you're on the water. But I like to share kind of my point of view. And again, just that info and that education. I can't tell you how many people, even people who are relatively experienced anglers, would just never, venture to guess that a 20-inch bass may be 20 years old.
Yep. And it is. And I grew up in North Carolina and did a lot of bass fishing there. And it was a completely different story because to catch a 5 pound bass was commonplace because it's a much warmer climate. It's a lot more reproduction and it's different. So, at the end of the day, I think, I'm going to kind of surmise here what you're saying, but I think at the end of the day, anglers just need to be educated and understand they have to make those decisions when they're out there, right? It's a social and personal responsibility. So hopefully they listen to this, understand it, and appreciate it, and make those choices that they feel is best at the end of the day. And so we'll just kind of leave it there. All right,
while we're nerding out, Jeff, just kind of an interesting anecdote since you bring up, fishing in the South and how much bigger, how more commonplace it is to have those big bass. An interesting thing is in those warm weather climates where they grow 8 and 10 pounders and even bigger than that, much more commonly than we do here. Those fish, believe it or not, tend to be much younger than our big fish. And their lifespan is shorter.
Sure.
So it's like they burn hotter for a shorter amount of time. And an 8 pound fish may only be, 6 or 7 years old in those climates. And one of the reasons being, just a longer growing season with basically all year long being warmer water that they're very active and comfortable in. And then also with the food sources, we don't have shad and shiners and those kind of natural forage items very often here
Right.
in Idaho waters, and in a lot of those southern waterways they do. So they just have more to eat and they grow faster and they burn hotter for a shorter time, and it's pretty interesting to just kind of see how fish and how animals and wildlife adapt to their surroundings.
For sure. And you talk about that, like one of my favorite fisheries in Idaho for bass is Dorshak. And the reason, and it's a world-class bass fishery because there is that food source with a kokanee up there, right?
Right. They've figured out how to treat kokanee like shads.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
kind of a cool thing.
So it affects kokanee size up there. You're not going to get anything much bigger than 8 or 10 inches on kokanee up there because they're such a predatory feed. But so there are options if you want to catch bigger bass. You could head up to Dorshak. They're a lot more prevalent there. There's a lot more numbers because it's there. But I think it's all great points, and hopefully our listeners can make those decisions for themselves. All right, quick question for you: How do our listeners get a hold of you? I know oftentimes you say, "Hey, reach out, ask me questions." How can the listeners of the Idaho Fishing Report connect with Jordan Rodriguez?
Yes, sir. So easiest way is just to go to Tightlines208.com. That's my website. It has my contact info. It has my social links. I've got 3 fishing reports every month that I post on the site. I got all the info on, upcoming classes and what we're offering through Tightlines208. So, it's a fun little website and we're proud of it. And there's a lot of good information there for the angling community.
Outstanding. Well, he is Jordan Rodriguez, owner and creator of Tightlines 208, journalist here in Idaho. He joins us each and every week with his Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week. Jordan, we appreciate you, and I hope you have a great week, my friend.
Likewise, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Hey, do you want to be part of the show? Email us with questions or your fishing report from your last trip. You can email us at gemstatefishing208@gmail.com. Want to send me pictures of your fish? Send it to myfish@gemstatefishing.com. And if you have questions about the show or want something answered, email us at questions@gemstatefishing.com. All right, let's get into that regional reservoir level and boat ramp information. Over the Magic Valley, Lake Walcott is sitting at 95% full with an elevation of 4244. The boat ramp is open. Littlewood is sitting at 69% full, an elevation of 5220. The Littlewood boat ramp is open. Milner is sitting at 69% full. No boat ramp information for Milner. Treasure Valley, CJ Strikes is at 100%, 54-foot gauge height. Anderson Ranch is at 86% full, elevation of 4183. All boat ramps are open. Arrow Rock at 51% full, elevation of 3165. The high ramp and low ramp is open. Lucky Peak is sitting at 59% full with an elevation of 3010. Only Spring Shores, Slips, and Maine, along with Turner Gulch, are currently open. Lake Lowell sitting at 79% full with an elevation of 2527. All three ramps are open. Cascade is sitting at 70% full with an elevation of 4820. All ramps except French Creek and Buttercup are open. That's right, Sisra is now open. Deadwood is sitting at 66% full with an elevation of 5316. The Cozy Cove boat ramp is open. Man Creek, 61% full with an elevation of 2872. Both ramps are open. All right, Snake River Reservoir, Brownlee sitting at 2069. All ramps are finally open. That's right. Steck Park has 15 feet of usable water at the ramp, and Woodhead now has 44 usable feet, so you're good to go there. That is your reservoir level and boat ramp information. Hey, guess what, listeners? We have a new website. That's right, it's gemstatefishing.com. Go there to check out all the links because you can get all the information we provide here. You can also contact us through the site. All right, let's get into that stocking report. A big weekend. Cedar Creek Reservoir or Roseworth Reservoir over in the Magic Valley is going to be getting 11,000 fish stocked. The only other big one I saw over there was Hagerman. Between the WMA Lake 1 and WMA Riley Creek Pond, about 1,500 fish will be stocked in, over 1,400 fish will be stocked in over there. All right, over in the southwest region, Herrick Reservoir beginning 3,000 fish, Horse Thief Reservoir beginning 7,000 fish, and Lucky Peak will be getting 6,775. All right, a lot of fishing to talk about this weekend. Okay. The 29th annual East Magic Fishing Derby will be happening at Magic Reservoir on Saturday, May 13th. The Magic Valley Bass Masters Memorial Open, also Saturday, May 13th. That will be at Milner Lake. And you'll be using the Burley Golf Course. Also, May 13th, the Mountain Home Hog Hunters Tournament. That will be held at Anderson Ranch, and that'll be using the Curlow boat ramp, like I said, May 13th. The Idaho Kayak Bass Fishing Tour Event number 1, May 13th. That will be at Walcott State Park, and they'll be using that boat ramp there. All right, and then on May 13th again, the Idaho Bassmasters Tournament will be at Brownlee Reservoir, and they will be using the Woodhead boat ramp. A lot of fishing tournaments happen this weekend, so keep your eyes open for that. You can find us on Facebook groups, or you can follow us on Twitter at Idaho_report. All right, it is time for that moon phase report. The last quarter is May 12th, so that's this Friday. The new moon rolls around in 7 days on May 19th. Perigee, May 11th. Apogee, May 25th. All right, it's going to be a beautiful weekend to get out on or by the water. We are smack dab, however, in the middle of the last quarter, so the peaks won't be so strong over the weekend. Peaks in the good will be around 9 to 11 a.m., so starting on Friday around 9, by Sunday, that moves to 11. Again, you're going to see the same thing in the evening around sunset. Now, the first of next week, business starts to pick up with better and stronger peaks at noon on Monday, slowly working its way to 2 p.m. by Thursday. And then you'll see a soft peak at 6 a.m. around mid-peak or 6 a.m. And then you'll see a mid-peak at 6 p.m. And by Thursday, that works its way to 9 p.m. And that is your moon phase report for May 12th, 2023. I love that riff. All right. It's time for the grade. That's what that music means. If this is the first time listening to the show, each week I give you a grade of what I think the fishing is going to be like this weekend. The weather, I give an A Friday and Saturday. But I think the fishing is probably going to be a B just because of, we're in the last quarter here and we got stronger winds on Sunday and Saturday in some places and going to be strong through Monday with thunderstorms. So I think it's going to give that grade's going to come down a little bit. I hate it because of the ample sunshine that we're getting, but it is going to be a B this week. All right. Have you ever had an idea for a great podcast, but just didn't know how to get it started? Starting your own podcast is as easy as contacting Good Boy Studios and letting us help you get your great idea out of your head and into the listener's ear. We can teach you how to write, edit, produce, and publish your own podcast, or we can handle all those tasks and you just show up to record. Contact us today to learn more at goodboystudios.com. That's good, BOI Studios.com. Good Boy Studios can help launch your idea into a reality. All right, I want to thank you for coming along this week and listening, listener. Hopefully you've got some good information. It's going to be beautiful. Get out there and enjoy it. This sunshine is going to be really great Friday, Saturday morning. Get through Sunday and Monday, maybe get back out on the water in the midweek next week, towards the end of the week. And I think you'll have a good time. And it should be really good fishing for most parts of the area. So hopefully you can get out there and do it. Thanks to Jordan Rodriguez for coming along and giving us his expert tip of the week. Make sure you visit him at Tightlines208.com. I'm Jeff Cullers for Good Boy Studios. I'll see you on the water. We would like to thank you for listening to the Idaho Fishing Report and would like to remind you to visit our website, gemstatefishing.com, or you can find us on Facebook or YouTube. I'd like to thank our sponsors, our guests, and experts, as well as you, our listener, for making this show possible. This has been an Old Man Studios production. Join us next week for another episode of the Southern Idaho Fishing Report.